Hello, welcome back to Bool Boys Pod. A very special episode today. We're doing a WoW recap. So, these two guys, for many years, have been asking the Bool Boys crew to join them in WoW. I finally bit the bullet. I joined them this season for the WoW Within. I've been really enjoying it. Um, but I don't know. I'm here to talk about overall as the season closes. We are basically coming down to the end of season one. People are hitting their, like Arjun mentioned, he's hitting his key like milestones that he wants to achieve for the season, and so things are kind of winding down. So as things are winding down, I wanted to talk to you guys about getting kind of a recap of what the season was like, what you liked, what you didn't like, things you want to see more of in season two, things you want to see less of, and just overall just impressions and stuff. So I'll start with Arjun. You get pretty heavy into this while seeing you are doing pushing high keys, you're pushing heroic, um, you're doing crafting at high level, you do PvP too, right? So
Yeah.
so what was your first impression of like when it first came out, and how's it changed since then of this expansion?
So I think my perspective will be based on the history of all the other expansions that we've had previously. I feel like you came in at one of the better times in WoW history in the sense that they had just revamped talent trees, introduced a bunch of systems that they had a lot of time to refine on, and War Within felt like something that was a bit more polished than previous systems that were involved. So I feel like Uh, when it started, there was a lot of variety of content, especially adding something like Delves, in which you can get high level gear relatively easy. Or, I mean, it takes a bit of a challenge, and it was something that you could do solo, which made it nice. And then, the Mythic Plus, it's can get contentious with some people online, but I think that overall the level squish was good. Like you're not having to push random keys that don't really provide you a lot of benefit. So I think that the Mythic Plus sub for people that didn't know, like you yourself, you probably didn't know that uh, used to be go up to plus 20. So a plus 10 before is now Mythic 0. Um, and anything after, so a plus 1 is plus 11. So they'd like minus everything by 10,
I didn't
basically.
know that. So it was much
Yeah.
tougher before.
Not much tougher. There was just a lot of like, you
Mythic
didn't get a lot for doing.
it's just a
I see.
squish happened where it what would be like a lower tier mythic, like a mythic 5 or something, right? Like they squish it down so that it fits into the 10 levels, right? It's not just a 1-to-1.
Yeah, they basically increased the difficulty for what a Mythic Zero was because there was no point to run Mythic Zero. Like Mythic 10 was already pretty easy, so they were able to drop it down. So I think that was a good idea, but a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, the level difficulty between like a 6 or an 8 is too much. So people kind of get capped out for that. I have other problems with the Mythic Plus system, especially like queuing and having to pug it. But I think overall this was one of the better expansions that have been here that they've released in a long, long time, probably since Legion.
So before we move to Jesse, give me one good thing, one bad thing, and one ugly thing.
Hmm. I'd say one good thing was the raid design and the dungeon design. I like the dungeon pool. I think that by removing the annoying affixes from Mythic Plus, it made you be able to focus on just the actual mechanics of the dungeon. So you probably didn't know this as well too, but they used to have like random affixes where, oh, there's a volcano spawning under you every 30 seconds, or there's
Oh,
like
really?
whirling tornadoes and shit like that. It was like really random stuff that didn't make the Mythic Plus experience fun. So I think that the whole Mythic Plus season felt pretty good for me. And then I really liked the raid. I thought the raid was fun. There was like interesting mechanics, the boss and all the design, the I guess like what you said, we were talking earlier, like world design or world building. I think that by going underground, they unlocked a complete opposite thing of what people are expecting because it's always like, oh, we discovered a new continent or something like that. So this is like something that feels expansive and like you're always exploring more, which I think is something they did well.
And really organic to the Earthen. Are the Earthen a new race, or have we seen them before?
Probably in Warcraft lore and stuff that we've done previously, we've interacted with them before. Jesse would probably know better than
Yeah,
me.
the
Okay.
Bronzebeards are Earthen,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Magni and all that lore from
yeah.
Legion
Okay.
and stuff. And that's, I think, because they hinted at that they're going to actually do something with the giant sword. So at some point during these three expansions, that will be answered.
So let's move to Jesse. What did you like about first overall impressions of how it's changed from
Yeah,
week one or pre-week one to now 2 months, 3 months in, and then good, bad, and ugly.
yeah. Well, I mean, the game is always it's cyclical. It's when the expansion first comes out, everything's like shiny and new and exciting, right? And there's a lot of things to do and a lot of challenges to take on. And then as the season goes on, right, usually are like grinding M plus or pushing heroic raids, right? So it gets to be a little bit more grindy, right? And yeah, for me, I always love the leveling aspect of it, especially in a new zone. I think they did a really good job with like actually making good stories this time.
Hmm.
Like the quests, I think they had been trying to make the quests more fun over the last few years, and I think they did that. But then there was no flavor around the quests as well, and now the quests have like meaningful flavor, and they actually have like fun and like interesting quests, right? Like especially coming from Sod, where it's a lot more grindy. Like I really enjoyed like the Ringing Deeps storylines. Like I don't know if you guys did the Granny story time.
Yeah, yeah.
That was super fun, dude. And like those the quest design was really good.
And it was nothing that you were forced to do.
Treasure.
It's like you could just kind of jump in and follow a storyline and do it. And I liked also like just being able to search the world, finding random chests. Like, oh, there's an elite, we should go kill it. Like you always had a chance of getting something particularly sick in the beginning. So it made it fun to be out in the world rather than feeling like it's a grind.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think for Mythic Plus, Arjun already said, but like I think it made the all the fixes made it really unfun because it was hard to like balance them across the dungeons, right? So there'd be some dungeons where it's like, okay, with this affix at this key, it's just like I don't know if I even want to do this. It's just not fun, right? So like just being able to focus and learn the M plus mechanics for that specific dungeon, I think. Yeah, there's like a few affixes, right? Like the Zalatath affixes, but they're not like super crazy, and they make sense and they're pretty intuitive. But yeah, I like that as well. And then bad is I just hate queuing, man. I hate queuing for M plus. Like that's I'll spend like 30 minutes looking for a queue. My rating is high. I'm like 2100, right? So it's not like it's just there's so many DPS, right? And so many frost DKs, especially. I feel like it's just
And people are really picky with the process. And I've always said that they should create like a rank system like
yeah,
Dota or other games where there's MMR based. You get placed with the party based on your MMR, and if you can push the key, then you get
exactly.
points.
Yeah,
That'd
But
be a cool implementation, and it would take a lot of the pain out for queuing and a lot of the toxicity because you just dealt the hand you're dealt, right? Either you pass it or you
yeah,
make it through the key or you don't.
yeah.
oh, there'll still be toxicity like crazy, but it's at
Yeah,
least it's like you move on. You can still
Yeah,
get another game.
that's true.
what I never got is like people get really like scared about their key. It's like, oh my key, dude. Like I can't let my key deplete. And it's like, why the fuck do you care if your key
No,
depletes, bro? Like, you
that's
just go into
the
somebody
little
else's
tank
key
I
and
met
delete
told me
that
about
key.
it.
Like, huh?
It's for you DPSs. It's a problem, right? I always thought like as a healer, I've never like
Oh yeah,
unless
of
I'm
course.
pushing for something above that is above my pay grade, I've never like had a problem joining anything within like 30 seconds to a minute. And so whenever people get this like notion of you ruined my key, it's like what does that actually mean? But for DPS, if you're waiting for 30 minutes or an hour or
Oh
20
yeah.
minutes every time, losing your key is a big thing, right?
Well, not losing
Because it's
the
your
key
one way in.
necessarily.
Yeah.
It's just the time that you wasted in the
To
dungeon
get to that point, yeah.
to get to that point, right? Because nothing actually happens if you deplete your key, right? Your key just goes down a rank. But if you really want to go play like another, so say you wiped a +7 or whatever, and it's your key. There's nothing stopping you from joining somebody else's +7, especially if you're a healer. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, or +2 and you're +6, and then you get it back to +8.
What really sucks is waiting 30 minutes to find a key, and if you're trying to specifically pug and push a specific key rating so that you can get your rating up, you finally find the one Stone Vault 7 that doesn't have melee DPS, and you get in, and then for some reason it breaks, right? 20 minutes in, and people will leave after death or whatever. And it's just like, dude, it grinds you down. Like, it's a different kind of getting ground down than Dota, where it's like you have toxic people ruining it. It's more like once something goes wrong, immediately everybody starts dooming, and then that's like 55 minutes of your time.
That's why I only like doing it with a group. I mean, I pugged a substantial amount now of eights and nines because I don't play with Dan that often. But it's like still, I don't know. If we had a solid group of five, that's when it becomes fun because people aren't going to be toxic and people are like, if your key gets depleted, whatever, we can
Yeah.
still keep pushing it back.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else on ugly, Jesse? Any ugly things you saw?
I would say that's the ugly one. And then I would say for like the middle ground, the bad, I just feel like they still haven't nailed crafting, especially for the gear. It's just too convoluted. Like I can figure it out. I get it, right? But for like a new player, especially like I don't think systems, especially for crafting where it doesn't need to be this complicated.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be this complicated, right? Like you do Season of Discovery and crafting feels really rewarding. It's not like it's easy to get, Hand of Rag, right? You still have to farm the mats and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's also like, yeah, there's a recipe and then you make this thing. I don't need like omen crafted, enchanted, gilded harbinger rune, like all this stuff is just like, it just
For someone that's never done it before, I imagine that's like a nightmare to get into.
I have those questions now. I see like I was telling Jesse before you came on, Arjun. I saw like I was watching his 608 Presovoker on Twitch, and I looked. He showed his things, and every single one had a +3 enchantment. I'm like, how do I get those? Like, I have no. Not only do I know what's not needed, I don't know how to do it. Whether I can do it myself, whether I need to go somebody else, and I like. That's you're leaving a lot of value on the table if you don't do those type of things, right? It's like 20%.
I would say it's pretty marginal. Like it's not gonna take you from like a +7 to a +8 just on raw numbers, right? But it's like every bit kind of counts, especially when
in your number, your throughput. Like it would affect that, right?
Yeah, but the stuff you're talking about, like item enhancements, right? Like what we were talking about earlier. Like I think collectively you said your stat was mastery. Like don't quote me on this, but I'm gonna assume like with like your chest enhancements and stuff like that, you'll probably get like 1,000 extra mastery, maybe 1,200 more mastery. If you're like really spending a lot of money, right? So that's like another item's worth of mastery, which is still good, right? But for the average player,
the reason I brought it up is because this 608 guy, had like 50% mastery, and which was like equivalent to like a 30 or 35% boost on all healing on people lower than you, right? And then for me, I'm decked out in gear and I have everything, but I look at my mastery, it's at like 30%, which is equivalent to like a 20% increase on healing below you. So it's significant. It's not like
2%. That's where the secondary stats comes in. It's like once you get gear, eye level isn't good enough. Then at that point, you need to be able to like min max your secondary stats that are for the best, and that is another layer of convolution. But that exists like from early on in WoW. But for someone that is like a blank slate, it's like knowing how you can become the best of the best. There's a lot of things that you just have to do research on. Which WoW is a very unique game where you have to go read guides and watch like a shit ton of videos just to do like a very small subset of what the whole game provides.
So I guess,
and we haven't even gotten into like simming, Ashwin. Have you looked at any like simulation, like raid bots or anything like that? Yeah, there's a whole. It's like there's a certain point where those guides that you read are just like guidelines, basically. Like it could say mastery is your top stat, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to stack mastery straight down the line with the gear that you currently have. Right? You want to aspire to get more mastery, but in an ideal world, you're just constantly simming yourself and like just being like, oh, okay, I got a new piece of gear that I don't really know if it's going to impact my damage. I'm just going to go sim it, and then you'll find out whether or not it will be a throughput boost.
So that's well said. So I guess
I think
go ahead.
Sorry, I think that ties into another change that I would want to make is the whole gearing system in general. I think needs a little bit touch up, like the crests and stuff. It makes it feel like a little bit more grindy. It's like it's good that you have an avenue to upgrade your gear, but it feels like the way that they did it, then targeting specific gear becomes very hard. You're just kind of rolling the dice with your vault. I barely ever get any drops from Mythic Plus with the 15 or however many dungeons number. I never get that. And the amount of time that you put in to run those dungeons and effort you put in and then not getting anything, it's just hoping. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
both.
dude.
What the hell?
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
So they need to like make it more chill, like more rewards at the end of the dungeon, and like not feel like you're opening an empty chest every single time. The drop rate's way too low. I don't know what the fuck.
Retesting every run, bro.
No, not at eights, nines, and tens, dude. Just one chesting, two chesting. I did +2 a 10, but then I never ran the 12. It's kind of annoying.
So this is one question I have for the old heads: is that before wasn't it not like this? You couldn't get crest to upgrade your gear. I vaguely remember something. It's always been crest. Yeah.
Every expansion they try like some new system, or it's like an iteration of a past system where they'll start off with like a concept, right, and then WoW will kind of go through this like you can relate it to the NBA, right? Like where now it's like shooting threes is like the meta, right? They like go through these gameplay loops of like different types of gameplay where like for example in Legion we had this system called artifact weapons where it was like a whole new talent tree that was baked into a specific weapon that you had to get, and there was like this legendary system, right? And there were still ways to upgrade gear, but it wasn't like the focal. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I don't know if I remember this or not, but so like there's different focal points of how you gear, and it just so happens that this season and this specific expansion, it's getting those enchanted runed crests, right, to be able to use in crafting higher item levels.
And Valor Stones too, right?
Valor Stones, yeah, that's another currency. So they've like the whole concept came from being able to distinguish different levels of difficulty, right? So if you have a normal raid, that should be dropping less eye level than a heroic raid, then less eye level.
Sure.
But you want to give the people that still want to play the game and an ability that if they're going to continue playing at that level, that they can improve their gear. They used to have bullshit like stuff called Titan forging, in which you had a completely random chance of getting the same piece of gear but significantly higher eye level. So people were just like running stuff randomly, and you might be able to get a Titan forge drop, but that's nothing you had control over. So this gives a little bit more control over being able to keep pieces of gear while still getting eye level upgrades. But then it does feel like a grind again, and it's like Jesse comparing it to Classic, the gear that you get sometimes, like some of them feel really good, but otherwise it's just like a marginal eye level upgrade. It's like not that sick. Although I was pretty hype on the drops that I got. You guys weren't there, but it was a heroic raid. Princess Kaiveza, and she dropped both of the trinket plus the blade that goes with it, the 2 set at the same time, and I won both of those. And that was probably
I still think like getting a weapon, like your best weapon, is still pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like some, like a sick shoulder set or helm, but yeah, it kind of feels like it's very marginal throughput upgrades, and I mean, but that's the game now. That's kind of how it goes.
I have a funny story in that a newbie's experience is that I joined a heroic raid, and I went through like 3 or 4 bosses, and I wasn't getting loot for any of them. And then I figured out that this raid leader was like assigning who's getting loot to everybody, so he was just using people. Is this how like? And I was like, "Where's the loot?" He's like, "You don't need that one." I'm like, "Wasn't there a roll or something?" And then I basically wasted like four bosses, yeah, because he was just giving it to his friends or something. And I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't even know you could do that." But
can you even do that still?
I was not able to roll for any of the loot, and it was going to people. Yeah.
I don't know, Ashwin. I think they took that out, dude.
I think you could still set it to master loot if you want.
I just checked the market, but I mean, I haven't done it in a while. You could. Be
well, right. At least you got to get carried through a few bosses to see what they look like.
I wasn't deserving of loot at that time anyway, so it's fine. Okay. I
had a question for you, Ashwin. Yeah. What was it that really pushed you over the edge to be like, okay, I'm going to start playing WoW? Did you watch some videos or something? I was like, oh, that looks hype. Because it's such I feel like nowadays, it's a very obscure game to get into.
For sure. So I did see like there was streamers, like I think I mentioned to you that there was a couple streamers who did this like a hardcore no death. So when I watched some of it, it didn't seem that cool to me. That had no effect on me whatsoever. Like,
oh really? Okay, I think hardcore's pretty sick.
Yeah,
hardcore actually seemed like pretty sweaty and stuff. It was just like I like to go from game to game and play one game at a time. I was telling Jesse this, and like when I'm in that game, I'd like it to be like the only thing I play. And so I was getting very sick of playing Dota and StarCraft for like the last 10 years. Every like an occasional foray into like FIFA or like COD or something, but majority of the time I was playing those two games. And so I wanted something different. And I like RPGs. I love Skyrim, but there has been, in my opinion, there hasn't been something of that level since Skyrim came out in terms of RPG. And so I was looking for an RPG, and you guys speak, like Jesse especially, has been like speaking so highly of it for so long. And so like I said, give it a try. I don't know why. I think I knew before if I did try, I would get pretty addicted. So I didn't want to get into it. So
Yeah.
I mean, and it's proven to be true. I think for me, I don't have any like frame of reference for prior expansions, so I'll just give good, bad, and ugly for what I see overall in WoW. Definitely, what Arjun said is world building. Like when you start in like Dragon Isles, and then you go to Pandaria, and then you go to like Orgrimmar, and then you end up all over the place. Zul'Zadar was so sick, in my opinion.
Yeah, dude.
It was like seeing all those places, and like the music fits perfectly with it. So definitely world building. I think the community is strong, super strong around the game, more so than like any other I've seen, like in terms of outside resources and stuff. I would say the bad would probably be, I think for a game that's made so much money and is so successful, I think some of like the things are outdated for sure. Like I don't think you should have to add a bunch of add-ons to be able to play core features of the game, like dungeons or heroic raids or something like that.
You don't need add-ons, Ashwin?
You don't need it, but it makes it easier. But yeah, you technically don't need it.
I think I do for healing, because on the core Blizzard frames, a lot of the debuffs were not showing, and that was a big problem for me when healing. That was probably the main reason I switched to like Cell and Grid or whatever. I think I'm on Grid now, but Cell also. But like a lot of the key things, the Siege of Borealis one was the only one debuff I saw that I reliably knew I had to dispel. Like a lot of the other ones I couldn't. Like people were yelling at me to dispel it. I didn't know why I needed to dispel it, or like.
Yeah, for healing, it's definitely.
And then timing too, like when you know things are coming, like the raid timeline to know, a big dam is coming. You need to set up whatever you need to do before, and then so those type of things.
You're also insane to start as a healer. I'm surprised you stuck with it.
You didn't like. You guys said it would be bad. I didn't know it'd be that much worse. Like in terms of how much
we wanted you to play whatever, you know.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I don't mind doing. I don't regret the decision at all now. But it was definitely like there was a part where I was heavily struggling, and I think if I was a DPS, the learning curve would have been smoother.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I said good. For bad, I think the UI thing I mentioned, core add-ons. I think some of the things are kind of janky, and quality assurance isn't the greatest. For such a big company as well. Like this is Blizzard, probably now the biggest, right, with Microsoft. So you would expect a little higher quality on that. And then ugly, I don't really have that many ugly things. I think the ugly thing would probably be some of the player base can be pretty bad sometimes, especially in a Mythic Plus. But
it's not friendly to
tell us your most toxic story, dude. Tell us the most toxic.
It actually happened like 2 days ago. I was playing Dawnbreaker. I think it was like a 7 or 8. I think it was 7. It was 7. And it was for my Keymaster. So I was like really trying to get it. And so normally in all my previous runs of Dawnbreaker, I haven't really had to dispel at the first mini boss, the tank bust, or the massive like slow / rend. I don't know. I forget what the name is called, but I think it's Burning Shadows. It's Burning Shadows. Okay. So Burning Shadows, you have to like dispel it. And I was dispelling on myself, but the tank, normally every tank I play with has dispelled it themselves. But this guy, he was like, I think he was from South America. He was using like Google Translate, and he was really getting into me. Like, you need to fucking read the dungeons before you get it and stuff. I was like, I don't know. He's like, read your fucking spells and stuff. Like, it's
what
all right.
What class was he?
I don't even remember. He was my impression of him was that he was probably what's the tank that goes? It's really dicey to heal because they go up and down a lot. Druid,
Brewmaster, Blood DK.
DK.
Split
He
DK.
he can dispel, dude.
So,
AMS.
so like that, and then I just said, fucking dispel it yourself, and like I have 4 other people to worry about and stuff. And then he comes back and he chats me like 10 lines afterward as I'm in the next dungeon, and I go back and look, and he's just raging at me.
Yeah,
that was probably the worst, and it was surprising because I thought I had a good handle on Dawnbreaker and what to do, but I couldn't see or I couldn't do what he wanted.
Dude, the best thing is when
Don't.
Huh?
Go ahead, Jesse.
Oh, I was gonna say, the best thing is when you get like a wall of pink text where they're just like messaging you.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
And it's just like, I'm not gonna reply to any of this, dude. Like, why are you blasting me with whispers?
The thing also, as a healer, you shouldn't. People will rage at you, but most of the time it's not your fault. It's people taking damage or not using their own abilities in which they can be doing that. If like they're not if they're not kicking spells and they're yelling at you like, "Oh, healer, where's my heals?" Like you can't be doing everything at once. So it's like if that tank could dispel himself, like we were in that dungeon together, and the paladin tank wasn't dispelling himself from the weekly affix, right? That's like a super easy thing to do. He's like, "No, dude, you have to dispel me." It's like, no, you're the tank. Anyone that should dispel themselves should dispel it. And I usually dispel myself. So then he was raging at you, being like, "Dude, you're not healing properly. I'm out of this." It's like, okay, whatever, dude.
Yeah, it's like playing a goalkeeper, Ashwin. It's the same job.
Maybe, yeah. That's a good analogy. As I've like at 4, 5, and 6, I don't think anything I did as a healer really mattered that much if the players were like good. But it's starting at 7 and 8. If I see someone doesn't use a defensive when they get like tormented ray or something, they're gonna die. Like, and
yeah,
it's annoying. So like, there's not much I can do in that situation. But
yeah, I mean that's on them.
You have to start judging people yourself, being like, "No, you're an idiot. Like you died for being an idiot." You kind of have that mentality as a healer, not being like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like I didn't save you." Like you usually more times than not, people should be able to save themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's my overall impressions. I really enjoyed it. I think once I get AOTC, I'll probably stop and take a break so it becomes fresh again for season 2. You know.
Yep.
Ooh, maybe level a DPS season 2, and then I'll heal with you.
Oh,
I'll level 9 priest.
Oh, that'd be sick. That's the thing. I have no frame of reference because no one on my list is a healer. So like I can't.
Arjun used to heal.
Yeah, I healed all of last expansion.
Oh, you did? Okay. Like I'd be interested to see how someone who knows how to do it, because like I can watch on a YouTube video or something. It's just tough.
I did fist weaving, but then I prefer healing on this. Yeah. I was Mistweaver for Battle for Azeroth, and then for for Shadowlands, I was Discipline Priest, and then for Dragonflight, I was Discipline Priest again.
So
I'll play Discipline Priest again, probably. It's fun.
That's hype, yeah. Okay. Anything else on overall impressions of WoW within season 1?
World Within. You can call it WoW Within.
No, WoW Within. That's what I've been calling it all. Like
yeah. It's the world with it. It's the war with it. It's the war within.
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, the war within.
So, but it's with the abbreviation as well within, right?
No one calls it that.
okay, fine. Okay. So, the real reason I wanted to get you guys on is so I could like pull your opinions on some of the dungeons and raids and bosses and stuff. I have strong favorites and strong not favorites, and I wanted to see what you guys from your DPS and also like historical vantage point of knowing all of the bosses and all the raids throughout WoW's history. What do you guys thought? So I asked for your top 3 favorite dungeons, your top 3 favorite raid bosses, and then one you didn't like of each. So does anyone want to go first?
Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, I think first thing is the raid design is awesome, but like I think across the board there was a lot of bugs and like a lot of issues, like just in general. Like I saw a lot of people having, like in the Race of World first, there was issues. There was like stuff where people were just getting disconnected randomly in their pools, right? Which I don't think was ever an issue in Dragonflight, right? So I had it happen to me once, and it was just like, just annoying. But I would say for the bosses, it's got to be Queen, right? Like Queen is a super sick fight. Like it's just you haven't really had a mechanic like that with the popping and like
That's
jumping
cool.
over. It's cool. It's fun. It's not like it's
Now that you know how to do it, Jesse? Now that you know how to do it.
I mean, we can get into that, but I mean, I've done it on normal. And I mean, I don't know. I would say I haven't really got like super attached to any of the other bosses. Like maybe Princess.
Princess is a super sick fight.
Yeah, Princess is a sick fight. Um,
And then I also like Silken Court. Silken Court's
Silky
really
Court's
sick.
cool, actually. Yeah. Okay, so I would say the back three bosses are really good.
I think, yeah. I mean, if
Like new
just
flavor, like types of encounters.
Just give us
like,
your top three. Just if you had to, if gun to your head, if you had to
Yeah.
choose which one you want to play for the rest of this expansion, which three bosses would it be?
yeah, the back three definitely.
Back three? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say back four, including Brood Twister. I really like the Brood Twister fight. I
I
think
do
that
too.
that's like I like fights that are very hectic and require like a lot of movement and then also AoE as well too. So like Silken Court when the donuts come out and then also the queen shooting the pizzas coming out and then you're like running all over the place dodging shit. Like that's super fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would say Court is probably actually my favorite. There's a lot going on.
I can't speak on score because I haven't beat it yet. I tried it once and it just was a huge clusterfuck of like visual and shit going on, and I didn't know what to do, and it didn't work out. So
it's
Princess,
cool when oh go ahead.
okay. Uh, I would. I was gonna say Queen. I haven't done a heroic either, but I've seen a lot of videos, and I think I've done it on normal. That is truly like a well-designed fight, in my opinion. Do you think so, Arjun? You just shook your head when Jesse said.
No, he was just shitting on me, dude.
No, I think Queen is a well-designed fight. There's defined phases. It's hectic. Like I like fights that are designed in which it takes kind of like a symphony or an orchestra like a choreography almost of what you need to be doing to get the mechanics down. When it's just like burn the boss down, kill these things, dodge stuff, it's not as fun. But like something like Queen, like Jesse said with the popping, that's really cool. And yeah, the web mechanics, you're always on your feet, no, like looking at your position. Um, and it's a beautiful fight too. There's like cool
Also, a
colors.
little bit Razzagethy though. Also, did it not? It's just like because remember when Razzaget you had the wave right where you had to like get stuck on the thing on the
Yeah, yeah.
same kind of concept, and then you're getting popped right up onto like different platforms.
That's actually very true. It's very similar to that
I
fight.
mean, I just thought about that, but I mean, it did feel a
Razzaget
little
from this
Razzaget,
expansion?
but
It was from
Oh,
a previous
From Dragon Isles.
from Dragonflight, yeah.
Dragonflight. But it was still cool.
Yeah, I'd say my top are the back four. I like Princess because it's kind of hectic with what's going on the ground, and then the orbs and stuff are flying around as well too. It just requires it makes it satisfying when you're doing prog with people and you actually get the fight down, and it becomes very fun.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping they could do better with the next raid. I think next raid I think we're going to Hallowfall for shit like that.
It's the tier one raid.
Oh,
It's not
really?
supposed to be like super
There's
crazy.
one raid per season.
Well, just like visually, I'm tired of spiders already, so I want to go. I want to go to
The
like
crab-
something
crab
different.
thing.
It's got to be the prior. I don't know. It's got to be something with like the Priory, maybe, or maybe.
Yeah,
It's,
I think it's Hallowfall related.
I know. I feel like Hallowfall will be the last one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Because all that stuff with what's his name? I'm
Would it
like
be something
Anduin?
related to
Anduin.
dwarves?
Yeah, Anduin and that girl, right?
I think they already like teased the first thing. It's like the first quest of it. So I don't know. I think we're going to Hellfall, but we'll see.
Okay.
I have some choice opinions on Anduin, but I'll save that for later.
They did the story good. I mean, you've had the luxury of not experiencing like past WoW stories. Like
So
they
was
were
Anduin ever cool? Because he just seems like he's just like he's washed.
well, that's the
washed.
point. Yeah,
You
No,
got there's a lot of lore behind why he's in his disheveled state.
yeah.
Okay.
The last like 3 expansions, or maybe 2 expansions at least. Like it's just weird stories that don't really make sense and feel very tropey. It's very hard to connect with the characters quite often. And this expansion, they actually did a really good job, I would say.
Yeah.
Sure. So I guess before I go into my top three, I'll finish the question on that. Who are the main characters in WoW?
It's
Is it
Anduin.
Anduin? Is
Yep.
it Zalteth? Or is it
Well,
someone
now
else?
Xalatath is like the main villain, and then you have Thrall as well too from Warcraft 3. So did you ever play Warcraft 3?
No.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because that's like from the Dota,
Yeah.
where Dota even came from. But yeah, Thrall, Anduin, and then I guess Illyria Windrunner is they're setting her up. Yeah, Khadgar.
Illyria is
Uh,
the main character now.
Lothar is the daughter of the famous Lothar.
Yeah.
And there's a Proudmoore, right? Jaina. Proudmoore.
Yeah, Jaina Proudmoore. She's a big person too.
So
And then there's theories that Illidan
Yeah.
might come back, dude.
Dude,
That would be so sick.
bro.
damn, I've heard. I know Illidan is Terrorblade, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just
After
coming
this,
into-
Ashwin, you should go
Yeah.
watch Anduin versus Illidan at where do they fight? Arjun at the Frost Citadel.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. I'm like I need to fill in the gaps of the story so
Yeah,
these
dude.
characters mean more to me.
We should do a lore dive podcast where we start from back in the day, dude. We link it all together with the old gods, the light, the Naru, and then you get into like the wild gods and so we're wrestling with the void right now. So there used to be something called the Black Empire, where way back in time they fought the Titans to like claim Azeroth or something like that, but then the Titans repelled them. So I don't think there's a lot of information as where the Black Empire came, but they come from the void. So I think Xalatath will try to unlock something related to that comes from like the heart of Azeroth, which another layer of it, probably in the beginning of the expansion, you probably saw the giant sword that was stabbed into the Azeroth. So that was done by Sargeras?
I
No.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that name
Okay.
sounds familiar. I remember looking it up.
So Sargeras stabbed the sword, but then Illidan destroyed Sargeras, like sealed him or something like that. But then now we have that giant sword, but that sword might have been trying to destroy like the world soul or something like that.
Yeah.
But my theory is that Xalatath will probably win by the end of this expansion, and then we'll get into the next chapter of World Soul Saga, which is Midnight, which I imagine that we're fighting against maybe the Black Empire or something. And then that is what the expansion theme is. It's like we're in the void, or the void has consumed the world or something.
So is Xalatath working on her own, or is she taking orders from somebody?
She
Like,
was
where
like
does she come from?
she's like 1,000,000 years old or something, and I honestly don't remember. She's been around for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'll take a look at it because I
Yeah.
am curious, but I was just wondering who are the characters we should care about as a WoW fan, and if you're saying that like all those people, that's a lot of characters, and there's probably even more, right?
That was the biggest thing that they were struggling with for a long time with the storytelling, was that like it was just like basically Marvel Avengers every
Yeah,
expansion.
I can see
Like,
that.
you champion and the 10 strongest people in history are all going to smash these fucking wolves in the forest.
And like the story would be contained within that expansion. Those never felt like there was an overarching story. So for the first 3 expansions of WoW, it kind of followed Wrath of the Lich. No, not Wrath of the Lich
No.
King.
Frozen Throne.
Frozen Throne. Where you were grounded within that same world in which your favorite characters like Arthas or Illidan were within that world. But you never touch any of that story. And then the next expansion, Burning Crusade, we went to Outland to go fight Illidan. So that was like a pretty sick thing in terms of lore. So there was still that continuity of the story. And then the expansion after that, we went to Icecrown Citadel to fight Arthas. Northrend to fight Arthas. So it's like those first 3, it felt like the story was really good and was vibing, and then they kind of fell off the map a little bit, in which they had the Pandaria thing, the Mogu and stuff. It's cool, but it's not like.
That was widely regarded as like the best expansion ever.
But lore-wise, it wasn't a continuity of the other lore.
It was Cataclysm that didn't have a lot of continuity in terms of lore. Like they just kind of brought in
Deathwing, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that Legion was another sick lore thing wise because they brought the demons back. I think Illidan was back also as well too. And then that's when the sword was stabbed. Since then, they've kind of just gone off their rocker, and it's none of it's really made any sense. So
People
now
seem to
with this
like Legion a
overarching,
lot, though, right?
yeah, Legion was sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now in this new crop, what's happening? So this new crop, they've kind of shit the bed.
So
What's
now
that?
they're doing this World Soul Saga, so you know that there'll be some continuity between the characters and the storyline for the next three expansions. So basically, like the next 10 years or some shit like that.
But this also harkens back to the original one with didn't
Kind of.
Sargeras kill the World Soul? Isn't that
Yes.
what happened? So it's like part two of that.
So there was never really any explanation originally as to why the sword was stabbed. So it's not really like a part two. It's more like we got a prologue and now the whole thing's going to happen.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I would love to like pull you guys on all the history, but I need to do a little research first because I don't know anything. Like these names,
Yeah.
I know the names, but they don't mean anything to me besides what we've seen in the expansion.
We should read the
Um,
books, dude.
There's
I
books.
I read one recently. I have
Is
it
there
here.
really books?
Yeah. There's a lot
Like
of books.
legitimate books or like fan made?
No, legitimate books. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be interested in
Yeah,
reading
yeah.
that for sure. Okay,
Or
I mean,
most
we
of them have,
kind of segued into the lore, which I find very interesting. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to finish up on dungeons. We got raid bosses from both of you. I think I didn't give my raid bosses. I would go Princess really quickly. Princess, Brew Twister, and Sikran.
Sikran, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm basically at. I like the simplicity of the first guy where you feed him the bugs.
I hate that fight, dude.
Why?
It's
It's
a
a very-
stupid intermission. It's a dumb mechanic.
It is a dumb mechanic, but it's easy as a healer. It's the one I could farm reliably, so I know it very well. And then I think my least favorite would probably be Rosh Hashan. It just there's so much shit on the ground, and
Yeah.
it's very tough. You know, there's so much unavoidable damage that comes out, and it's very tough. Moving around just pointlessly, I don't like it. It's very tough for me.
That's the game, Ashwin.
Yeah.
With one of the most mobile classes doesn't like
That was
moving
the
around.
most mobile class of the game.
Yeah,
Come talk to
for
me,
sure.
bro. I'm walking everywhere.
No, there's these tanks that jump around like they're fucking jaguars.
Yeah. I'm not a tank. Today I did Rosh on heroic, and my squad just like all dropped the webs on the left pathway like behind them, and I was like on the other side because I had been dropping the line or whatever.
Mhm.
And I had to run the other way around because it was all blocked off. I would have died.
That's really bad.
I think another thing for Evoker that's hard for you is that they have lesser range for healing, so you're like required to stay particularly close. Other people have like crazy range.
Isn't there a paladin class where you're
Holy
melee?
Paladin, yeah, you're
Yeah.
melee healer, and Mistweaver's
That's-
melee healer too.
So when I saw these guys play, they were literally standing under the boss and healing while they're under the boss.
That's hype. I like that play
It's
style
also
because
easy to manage also. You can do damage too. You can do damage
Yeah,
too.
they do a lot of damage, right?
my favorite types of healers are ones that convert like damage into healing. So like Mistweaver, you're wanting to throw out a lot of Rising Sun kicks because it works with another mechanic. But yeah, I'd say maybe for the next season you should try another class just to see if
I
you
don't
like
think
it better.
It's a bad idea at all. Okay, move to dungeons. Mythic plus dungeons. I really enjoy these. One, because it's manageable. It's 5 people. Everyone has a defined role. It's very easy to tell like who fucked up. I think like it was me for most of the time, but and then I like the timer aspect of it, like fighting against the time. I'll ask you this: if the timer was gone and they made it slightly tougher, would you guys be opposed to this? What do you think the timer adds to the Mythic Plus?
I mean, it's the whole mechanic. I think.
Really?
Right? The whole thing is baked around the timer, right? Because you can increase the difficulty, but if you don't have a time pressure, like players will just find a way to pull it slowly or like
How is that bad though? As a WoW developer, how is it bad that they're spending more time trying to beat your mechanics? Is that bad?
Well, you should design the game just purely on retention, right? Like people want excitement, and I feel like the timer adds that, and it also adds like another dimension of like difficulty as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also get rewarded differently based on how quickly you time the key, right? So it's not just the fact that you're completing it, but a lot of your score also is from how fast you complete it, right? At what difficulty.
It adds like a skill cap level to it, which I think is good, but then it makes it like very sweaty. But I think
Yeah.
that's the point of dungeons. They're supposed to be fast and intense, whereas raids is like where you slow down and then you basically take it slowly and try to figure out the mechanics for it. But like dungeons are very fun when you can pull a lot of shit and you see a lot of numbers on your screen and you're just like pumping basically,
Yeah.
versus like very slow pulls.
Here's a quick question for you. You guys are making your keys for your dungeon, for your personal keys, and you have a choice of the race of your tank and your DPSs. Who's the highest on your list? And healer, I guess, for you as too. Yeah.
Wait, what's the question? Sorry, I missed it.
So, like, you're filling out your team for your key. What race would you choose at the highest, like, for each role?
What race or what class?
I suppose class is the better word to say.
Class. Yeah. I mean, so just based on the meta, it's Frost DK or Elemental Shaman for DPS. Tank is Warrior at the top for sure. And then healer is Resto Shaman.
Yeah. But do you feel that way? Like even at the lower keys, I know it's a big problem at like 13 or 14 when like Resto Shaman can basically nullify the entire mechanic of a fight with cleansing totem, right? That's why he's picked so highly. But like Arjun, if you had your key, would you place a lot of emphasis on the class?
I don't know. I don't place for I feel like our skill level, the class doesn't really matter. Like anything can be completed at like a high level. Even classes that are quote unquote not good, they're marginally worse than other ones. I think class balancing is better than most people chalk it out to be. Like obviously there's going to be winners of it, but the percent difference isn't that significant. So like when I'm making groups, it's like, or I'm never the one making a group, but if I'm joining a group, I don't really care what the comp is because it's not that big of a deal to me.
I would say for me, it's heavily related on the tank, and I don't like playing with blood DKs for sure. It's like it's very
blood DK is a hard tank to play though. It's like built around managing your like those bursts.
There's an energy, right? They have an energy bar or something.
Runic power.
It's all the same, pretty much. Energy. So technically, energy in WoW, you start with 100 and then you spend it, and then runic power you have to build up. So it's like it's a different kind of mechanic. They're not the same, but it's your spender.
A blood TK with 10% HP but 100% runic power is okay, but at 100% HP but 0% runic power is not okay. That's what I've been told.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that, and then I guess for DPSs, I don't know, just people who don't die, the environmental stuff.
Yeah.
People who kick. That's what matters most, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
And using your CCs and knowing to use your own defensives. Any class is fine, but as long as people know how to do that.
True,
People have so many more tools now than they were 2 expansions ago, and people don't still press their buttons. Like, if you saw the talent tree that we used to have in this game, you would be like, the fuck, there's like nothing to choose from. There was maybe a list.
I feel like Prez Evoker is supposed to be one of the more straightforward healers because of the amount of, like, it has 4 or 5, like 5 or 6 healing spells. But even then, I'm looking at my screen right now, there's at least 20 to 25 buttons you have to press in a fight. Like, that's a lot, man. Like, come on.
Get good.
That's what the point of the game is, dude. I like having all the buttons to press and having them each key bound and like.
Yeah, so many scenarios, right? Like when you have all those spells, like for Evoker, like there's a play that happened recently in like a Mythic Queen pull where some guy, like when he was going up to the last platform, like aimed wrong and was like gonna fall off, and the Evoker saw it and like did the swoop thing or whatever and grabbed him and like pulled him back. So there's like, you're not going to use that spell that often, right? But when you get a sick
I don't
play,
even have it.
oh shit,
I don't even
yeah,
have it, dude. Yeah.
It's like mastering your toolkit, basically. That's what I feel like is what comes with playing the game for a long time, but also like knowing all the tools you have in your spec, because I feel like that's where it separates the big level gameplay. It's like Dota and not like buying an item and not pressing it's on use or something like having NKB for the stats. Like how you have those spells, but if you're not using them, then they feel useless.
And a lot of spells are flavor also. Like DKs have a spell called Path of Frost, which just makes you walk on water. You know, it's not like I'm going to cast. There are some fights where, you know, maybe you could use it. I don't know what fight it would be, but
there's some skips I think you could do in like Siege of Borealis or some things like where you don't feel it.
And stuff. But yeah, it's more like a flavor spell, right? And then, you know, you have like Death Gate, right, where you can teleport back to the Death Knight place. It's all. I mean, it's not all of them, but there's like a good amount of flavor built into the spell kit.
I think that's what people want out of WoW instead of being like you're fixed in a very specific playstyle. Even though people min-max it, the talent tree gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you want to play the spec. And you can like change talents for different dungeons, or there's different talents for PvP or different builds that like gives you flexibility in how you want to play the game.
There was a healer who was like changing his he changes his build for Borealis specifically and then changes it for everyone else because there's something in Borealis that like if he adds, I think he's a disc priest, Jack B. Caston. Have you heard of him?
Oh yeah, I love that. I love Jack, dude.
Yeah.
He's a great healer. He makes good healer content.
Yeah. So he says you change it by dungeon, but you know, of course you change it dungeon versus raid. You change it with like the composition of your other healers and stuff. Like I don't use Source of Magic unless I have another Prez Evoker or something. I think that's how you use it. I'm not sure. But all that said, what would be your final Mythic dungeon rankings for season 1?
In terms of fun or easiness?
Enjoyment.
I'm just gonna immediately knock out all the old dungeons because we've done them like 1,000 times.
No, but they refreshed them for some newer, not like something like Miss Eternus side, but like Grim Batal, which was like,
I guess. Yeah.
I like Grim Batal. It's fun. I wouldn't put it in my top. I like City of Threads is kind
I'm
of
actually
fun.
curious what you guys think. Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about them. City of Threads, it's okay. It's not my most fun. I like the boss mechanics at the end where you're chasing, like the orb is chasing you. You have to position yourselves and the orbs all come together. So you're kind of doing this dance around the room.
Yeah.
Okay, so my ones I would say no, I hate Stone Vault for sure. Siege of Borealis. Stone Vault, it's just too small for how much is going on over there. You have nowhere to move around or dodge it. And then the last boss is just very annoying where you have to go drop the portals.
I feel like the last boss is a cakewalk. It's that one where the thing gets pulled, the two guys. That shit goes crazy sometimes. Sorry, like, you know, the two bosses, the one with the guy in the mech suit.
Oh, yeah. That one's a fun fight.
It's fun. It's just like...
Siege of Borealis?
No. We're talking about Stone Vault.
Oh, Stonefall. Okay. Brock and Edna.
Yeah.
No, okay. Yeah. No, Brock and something else. But yeah, okay, I understand. But yeah, that's a good fight. I actually like Stonefall, but go ahead.
Really? I think it's just hard. It's one of the harder dungeons.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think is fine.
I mean, for me, sorry. Continue, Arjun.
Go ahead. Let Arjun finish.
I'd say, Dawnbreaker I don't like that much. I think that there's a lot of random boring RP, and the last boss is kind of dumb where you're just like there and having to catch the bombs. It's like you don't feel like you're spending meaningful time on anything. Then what else? Arakara. It's pretty fun in the first few pulls because there's like a lot of mobs and stuff. But yeah, I guess now that reflecting on it, the dungeon pool is not that sick. I'd say Grim Batal. And then I guess now that I'm thinking about the fights, Stone Vault and then City of Threads is pretty fun.
You like City of Threads? Okay, for sure. Okay. So you, in order, just repeat it, Arjun. Sorry. What would be your top 3?
Grim Batal.
Okay.
Then Stone Vault and then City of Threads.
Okay. And your least favorite?
Oh shit! I kind of like Necrotic Wake as well too. So let's throw that in the instead of Stone Vault. I like Necrotic Wake. Okay. I'd say least favorite is probably either Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker is like very easy, but it's just not that fun, like flying around. I feel like you're not doing it for that much value.
Okay, Jesse,
Yeah.
you're up.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's tough because I really like the new dungeons. Like Cinderbrew Meadery is so sick, and
Oh yeah,
Dark Flame, dude. Dark Flame Cleft when it becomes
it's gonna be sick,
when you're trying to when the boss is chasing you in the tunnel. That's gonna be
dude.
insane, bro. It's gonna be so stressful. But I
But
mean,
no, it's not like you could do anything. That's just RP. Like it's like you could,
no, but you can shoot it. You can like do damage on it.
yeah. But
You
I
just
imagine it's marginal.
wanting.
Yeah, you got to min max, bro. It's just hype. I don't know what to tell you.
No, it's. I think that's a cool dungeon.
Yeah, I would say I like the Arakara bosses a lot. I like the last boss. I just
I
think
don't
it's.
like the last boss. I
Yeah.
think. Okay, go ahead and finish your thought, and I'll tell you why.
I mean, it has like a certain level of difficulty where if you're just not paying attention, then you're not gonna do it right. It's just like it's not that hard, but for some reason it like people get freaked out by like the goo tunnels coming around them and stuff like that. It's just I don't know. I like it, and I had some like fun like pushes on it where it was like me and the tank, multiple times, and we timed the key right. So just from that perspective, like hype moments. And then yeah, Miss. I mean, Miss is just it's super chill. I kind of like the mechanic. I like the flavor of like the
To fight
fake
Puck, man.
berries. Huh?
You get to fight Puck.
Yeah, Puck. Yeah. And then
It's kind of boring. The guessing game. I'd never do it. I'd never even think about
It's
it.
an intelligence check. It's not a like ability
Yeah,
check.
no, I'm very low intelligence. I'm very low
No,
intelligence.
I'm not saying that about you, but I've had many like it's
no,
not. I never. Whenever I lose break, whenever I get breakdown missed, it's because people don't know how to do the guessing game part.
Oh, really? There's a very like, weak aura or some shit like that, which is annoying, right?
Yeah, no, like I don't like my thing on that is if I'm the healer, I don't think I should be leading who we should DPS. I know some healers do it, but like I think the tank should be choosing the one. I mean, the tank can't. So the DPS really, it's on the DPS to solve that maze riddle.
no, it's on everybody to solve it. You just go. All you have to do is run to the little pillar and look at it. You don't have to solve
No,
it.
you
really.
misunderstand me. Like if I'm already prepping like spells to heal through the immense AOE damage that comes through every
sure.
second that comes out that you don't.
Oh, during the fight, during the boss fight, you're talking about.
During the
You're
boss
talking
fight.
about during the boss. Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it needs
yeah,
to be
of
the
course.
DPS who choose it, and that's when I
It should be the tank usually. The tank usually does it.
Doesn't he have to occupy the main puck?
Yeah, but he can still ping the other one,
Okay.
and he'll bring over the boss to that creep because you want to be able to do
With
damage to
AoE.
both.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. But go ahead. Sorry, Jesse, I interrupted you.
Oh no, I mean, I just Arakara for this season. It would be Arakara, Miss, and probably Stonewall just because it's new.
And your least favorite?
Oh, my least favorite is fucking probably Siege of Borealis, just because I hated that expansion.
The bananas are whack, and
The bananas are so stupid too.
That boss fight is fun where you go around the pillar though when the waves come.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But
It's cool.
if I remember correctly, at the beginning there was a lot of problems with the boss fight in Borealis, and there was a lot of bugs or something, and it was causing
There was a
people to
bug
get
with it, but yeah.
the tentacle slam or something. It was like kicking people off the stage or something, or like off the map. Like there was some problems with it. I like Borealis because it's the first one I could like do at above a +2 or +3 because it was just like very straightforward. I kept doing it. So for me, I would go in some order: Grim Batol, Mists, and probably Necrotic Wake. And then I really disliked Dawnbreaker for the bugs because there was also a lot of bugs for this one. I remember people were getting, you were on the, if you got aggroed by anyone on the ground before you got on the ship, they would shoot you when you're on the ship for the rest of your run. And the only way to get rid of it was to die. So it was like,
Are you getting aggro on the ground and flying to the ship in the first place?
No, Pag and I wiped on a Dawnbreaker run where we were both. I was just following Pag, and we were like the thing had cast. When you have to fly out.
Mhm.
They had cast. We're going back in, and then we just.
that one too. Yeah. that was
Back
at the
like
speaker as well.
bug.
So I don't know. Maybe you were lucky, Arjun, or maybe I was unlucky. But there was a lot of problems from Dawnbreaker that were not related to my skill, which I could understand, like you asking that. But like there was like bugs too. So
Yeah.
it you know how like I like in Grim and Necrotic when I'm like pumping, it actually visually feels like and the math shows that I'm pumping. But whenever I go to Dawnbreaker, it like the way the damage comes in, it's always healing one person at a time, I think, and so you can never do like a 4-person like Arjun or such a 5-person 200k per person. You never see that 1 million HPS. I see it like on Grim Batol and Necrotic Wake because there's a lot of like spread damage, but on Dawnbreaker it never happens. So like I'll have the last one, the one I got my Keymaster on, I had like 395 HPS for the dungeon, and it was like very low. Yeah, no, that's low, dude. Isn't that low?
395.
HPS for overall.
If you
It's
time,
not bad.
it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Well, it seemed low, so then like it just doesn't feel like you're pumping as much. So
Yeah, I mean,
there's
no number really, dude. If you time the dungeon, you don't die.
It's because the tank was really good. He didn't have to be healed at all. That's why.
Then you don't need to pump.
It's like the concept, like you can pump as a healer in Mythic Plus, but it's not as probably as satisfying as actually pumping in like a raid. Like raid, you can truly pump because there's a lot of group damage going out, and you can see your numbers going high. Yeah. And if you time it perfectly, but like a dungeon, your job is to mostly just keep everyone alive. And if everyone's using their own defensives and stuff, then there isn't as much damage going out. Yeah. As long as people are doing the mechanics, then the healer also should probably end up doing DPS too. So I don't know. And you should try maybe in the next season taking raid healing also more seriously, because it's also very fun.
Yeah, it's good advice. I would say the second dungeon though that I would not want to play ever again is City of Threads, because it's tough throughput wise, but then also just getting caught.
Ashwin always would get. Remember how many times he got caught by the fucking.
I didn't know the routes or anything, and then like it's not clear to me like who you're supposed to attack. Like in the
that was the run where we had the 5-stack, and Ashwin got sent back like 2 or 3 times.
Yes, yeah.
The learning run.
I did time it +7 afterwards, just FYI.
Nice.
But yeah, City of Threads is tough, and I don't like Dawnbreaker.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked for about an hour, which is how long I wanted to keep you guys. But I just have one final question: is that you saw like a bunch of Arjun mentioned like the delves and like the new crafting system or like the new upgrade system. There's been you know better. There's been some new like mechanics that have been added to WoW Within. Which are your favorite and which did you not like? Why was Arjun smiling?
War Within, bro. War Within. You're such a dude. God damn.
Yeah, War Within. My bad.
Arjun, you're muted.
I think you're on mute, but
new systems to add, is that what you're asking?
No, like what were your favorite implementations of this expansion? Or what was your least favorite? Yeah.
I personally liked delves, but then now there's no reason to do them. But I think that's fine. And then like Zekfir giving like a solo challenge that was fun and engaging to like do as a challenge. I think if they continue doing stuff like that, that'll be good. They should make it so at least some high level delves give you some actual currency, like Harbinger crests of some sort. So it incentivizes you as like a route to be able to upgrade your gear. You can still do the delves. But I think overall, compared to any other system of solo content that they've introduced previously, this is the best iteration of it.
Wow, high praise. Okay.
Delves were, especially when the expansion first dropped, like all I did was delve, dude. It was amazing.
Just like solo mini dungeons, basically, right?
Yeah.
And they're not too easy.
Yeah. With better loot than heroic drops, right? 616?
It's 603, I think, is the highest you can get.
But then at the end of the weekly, it gave you 616. Yeah, so it made you feel like. Or no, if you had the right. Didn't you have, if you had a coffer key, then you got 616. Just systems, man.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you disliked or pass it to Jesse?
Jesse, go ahead.
I mean, no, not really. Except for queuing. That's the only thing I don't
Yeah, make solo queue, and then I feel like WoW is going to be set, dude. It gives you an actual rank. Oh, and detach actual PvP and make it into its own game,
Yeah,
instead of keeping, or
Have
like
you been
make it
playing
its own
PvP?
unique game mode. Huh?
Have you been playing PvP? I
Not
thought you
that
were
much.
pretty.
I got high enough rank in solo battleground. I got 2K rating, and then I was like, "Huh,
Oh
pretty
wow.
good.
Huh.
Um, it's just becomes a grind after. There was no other, or 1600 rating, not 2K rating. Um, And then same with arenas. Me and Nathan used to play a lot of arena, which I eventually we should start trying out just to see if you like it. It's also very sweaty, but it's very rewarding and fun. And you're
I
like
did try and I
fucking
got thanked.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're fucking up other people. We can try queuing together. Um, but yeah, the whole like PvP is its own beast, and I think that like arena got boring. I'm glad included solo battlegrounds, but I think it's just needing a new type of game mode or like something that makes it feel different than same it's been feeling for a long time.
For sure. Jesse, last word, final thing you thought was good from you said what was bad. You didn't like anything or you didn't think anything was bad. Anything you really particularly liked?
yeah, Delves definitely.
Delves, just
It's like the
Delves, for
best.
sure.
Yeah, because they tried it in the past. They had something called Torghast, which was it was supposed to be this like procedurally generated dungeon. That's what they kept saying, procedurally generated dungeon, and it was just like one kind of weird dungeon experience that just for some reason had no flavor, no soul. It was just this grind that you had to do, and it was brutal and very boring. And they made it fun. Like they just made it into like multiple different types of flavor experiences, right, with different lore backgrounds in different zones, right. So it makes it you're not going into this one icy hall for 20,
The same thing, yeah. And then you have like different power ups and stuff.
yeah,
And the fact that they forced you to do it, I think that's the thing with delves. They make it so it's like it's another option for gearing for you. You don't have to do it, but it's an option. Whereas Torghast is like, oh, you have to do this every week unless or else you won't get it some
yeah.
other part of the game.
The big bad in Shadowlands, his name was the Jailer, and people were like, the real Jailer is Torghast. So I'm just standing here in this same fucking like room, grinding out these mobs over and over again. So they definitely figured it out, which is awesome. I think can only get better from here.
I would say my favorite. I mean, I don't know if these were existed prior, but I like the World Quest stuff. When that started, it like really the game really picked up. Really easy access to gear and stuff for lower level players. So I think it was always there. I hadn't done the campaign and then didn't show up until I
You have
finished
to finish the campaign, yeah.
Yeah,
To get the world quest.
but I enjoyed that a lot.
How hard do you think the learning curve was for you to learn how to play the game?
If I didn't have you guys, I'd be washed. Honestly, I think it's way too hard for someone now fresh who's played other different types of games for most of their life to pick it up now.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Yeah.
no. I think that's definitely true.
Arjun, you sat with
I
me for
think
like 30 minutes to set up my add-ons, or my UI the first time I played. I didn't even know that stuff was existing.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of need that.
Yeah, right. So I think the biggest mistake, and like when you start to go down that rabbit hole, right, you start feeling more and more like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, or blah blah blah, right? Instead of learning how to push your buttons, you're contending with this clunky UI that you're also trying to learn how to do, right? And
It was like more basic shit, like telling him to add more action bar things and just like organizing his UI and like where his frame of view. But like someone that doesn't know that coming into the game, there's like so many options and so many small things.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty tough. Although I would say I wouldn't have known or felt like not like a slight nudge to go play Mythic or like Heroic or PvP if I didn't know you guys. I feel like I would still be doing the RPG elements of like finishing the Dragon Isle storyline or finishing like Mr. Pandoria storyline and not even getting into this competitive stuff. So I could have been lost in that aspect if you care about that.
The thing with
stuff.
WoW is like, dude, there are people who literally never step foot into a dungeon. Have never unsubbed from the game for 20 years. And they literally just go like explore a forest and chill, so there's so many different types of people that play the game, and you don't have to do Mythic, you don't have to have add-ons, right?
Yeah, you don't have to be sweaty, but
Exactly.
then you have the option to be
I
sweaty.
think you should also, now that you've played retail, I think you should give
What does that
classic
mean?
a
Retail.
shot.
I keep hearing that. Retail.
Retail it's the modern, most current.
The most
like-
recent expansion.
Yeah,
And then what is
classic
what's the other-
is the older. It's the
But
oldest
it's the
one.
same game.
I'll do
like
hardcore with you, Ashwin.
Hardcore seems
Get you
so-
hardcore without playing classic.
Maybe.
Classic is really like, I think it's a lot more like Skyrim.
It's true RPG, yeah.
True RPG.
I see.
This game is now more so like it's an instanced RPG.
It's an action RPG. It's an action RPG.
Like an
Okay.
instanced RPG. Yeah. But classic is like when you're questing, it's like, oh shit, like I'm out here, like I might get fucked, and like you never feel that in retail,
And the world feels bigger, and the zones, like you have to really work through the zones like in a slower pace, and your gear upgrades feel so much more meaningful if you like find a random green or shit like that.
And the exploration and the world building aspect like hits a lot harder.
I felt that, and I still feel that, and I guess I think one thing I would put in bad retrospectively now is that like the way the difficulty of getting from one place to another place in WoW is understated. Like they really make you travel, and like taking a Zeppelin
No,
to
they
go from
don't.
Dragon Isles to Orgrimmar. That's like so. That's,
Oh, you don't even know, dude.
You know,
do I not even know?
wait till you play the classic. Literally, me and Arjun, what we would do is we would want to play Night Elves, right? But we didn't want to. We wanted to play Night Elves, but you never want to level in the Night Elf zone for after you've done it the first time, just because it takes fucking forever.
Okay.
So we literally would spend like 4 hours running at level 10 from
Yeah.
running from the Night Elf starting zone to the human starting zone. That's how you would always start.
Just like using WASD or your arrow keys or your
Yes.
mouse just to.
Yeah, and then but you'd have to go take a ship, and then you'd go through like place where you die immediately, like things would just one shot you, and then you'd have to run through that place, and then through the wetlands all the way through to Ironforge, and then from Ironforge you could take the tram to Stormwind. It was hype. It was a journey.
Why is it to keep you in the game? Is it to like
It's part of the process, dude.
part of the process, or is it really truly just for the immersive experience? Like
For the immersive experience.
Yeah.
I feel like the world feels too small now because you just like zip everywhere. Like no one's on the ground doing shit anymore. You're just dragon riding everywhere.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, Arjun, we should play hardcore, bro.
I'm down to play. I don't have time for hardcore, dude. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit in
Let's just
maybe
play.
like
He's
2-3
having a
weeks.
baby, dude. Like
Yeah, I'm gonna quit in 2-3 weeks, and then I'll come back to it in February.
Yeah, your character's gonna die. It's hardcore. Then you don't have to come back to it.
No, then I'm gonna want to keep running it back, dude.
Yeah,
one could
One
argue that while you're watching your daughter sleep right next to you, you would have more time to play WoW.
yeah. Nathan played so much WoW.
That's true. That's true. But like you, I also want to keep it fresh, so I'm not like burnt out for WoW by come February when the next patch comes. Like it's fine having a 2-month break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I get AOTC in the next couple weeks, and then I got Keystone Master, what else am I doing? Just grinding for gear.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But we should run keys together. Keys on Van Nuys, dude. Keys. Keys on Van
You
Nuys.
said that, I laughed so
Yeah.
hard. Dude. It's a
I
good
made it up, dude.
No, you did it, dude.
Oh my god.
No,
dude.
you
I
didn't.
literally sent it to you. Like I said, we should make a guild called Keys on Van Nuys, and you said,
Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
"Oh
You're right.
my god,
Oh,
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
you son of a bitch!" I was about to pull up the Slack, dude. It was like a month ago.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
Dude, scumbag Origin, always stealing my jokes, and then he just says it louder, dude. He's the fucking Alex Jones of joke stealing, dude.
I don't know, dude. Who's the comedian that does that? Oh no, it's a Key and Peele skit of when people are in the classroom and then they're like, he says the same.
You're the what's his name? Carlos Mencia.
Okay,
Yeah,
it looks like we lost Ashwin. I need to go go run more keys later tonight, dude.
yeah, I'm done. All right, Ashwin, do we lose you, brother?
It's a weird
If
screen
we
cap of
leave,
him.
if we leave, is it gonna get fucked? He can cut this out.
I don't
He's
know.
just
Yeah.
messaged.
What did he say?
I fucked up, dude. If you didn't record it, bro,
Dude. Oh, it says it's recording right now. Still,
Yeah, it says recording.
at least over here. At least over here.
Yeah.
I need to go eat, dude.
Yeah, I need to eat also. I don't know if we can like. He kicked the socket out, dude. Oh my god.
Oh, he recorded it. It recorded, but
Fuck, what was I about to do? Oh yeah.
you can leave, but leave the Riverside tab open. All right. Well, I'm just gonna leave it open and gonna go eat.
All right.
All right, peace.
Right later. Silly man.
Stop it.